day of Radharani's birth is described. Many Shastras are saying that Radharani appeared around sunrise, and some say at noontime, but at any rate, she appeared in the morning. And it was the day it's described in Bhakti Ratnakar, it was slightly cloudy. Today it's clear sky. There was a gentle wind was blowing. The wind was blowing off of the Yamuna, which flows right next to Raval. The Yamuna's flowing there. And the wind was carrying the sweet fragrance of lotus pollen. And so many devatas, unseen, hiding in the clouds, as usual, were showering flowers, or as our one god brother translated, flower confetti. There's one Chaitanya Bhagavat. It said the demigods were showering flower confetti on Mahaprabhu. Very unique. His father translated it, and flower confetti. I thought that's, in other words, little tiny pieces of flower petals, which are like confetti. It's actually an interesting word. And all the Brijvasis came there, and they were in a very elated mood, and the musicians were playing different drums, dundubis, and kettle drums, and all kinds of music, and horns, and they were dancing, and then they were taking turmeric, or haldi, turmeric, and dahi, and milk. And one translation of Bhakti Ratnakar says they were taking the yogurt, and butter, and milk, and turmeric, and smearing it all on everyone. And this seems like what they would be doing. Another translation I read, it said they were scattering these substances all over the floor to create an auspicious atmosphere. And I was thinking, wait a minute, that's not Vrindavan. That's too formal, putting the turmeric on the floor. They would just be smearing, because we read in other descriptions of Krishna's birth that that the Brijvasis are smearing each other with butter and yogurt. And Prabhupada writes that someone who has material consciousness, he will not be able to appreciate such activities of men and women, the gopas and gopis smearing each other and massaging each other with butter and yogurt and Jai Kaniya Lalaki, Nandabaya, Nandake, and dancing around in ecstasy. So in the same way, Radhika was born in a very auspicious situation and full pomp and ceremony. And if you go there some year, you go to Raval, you see it's very sweet. There's about 150 devotees there. Some stay overnight on the rooftop, and a very sweet, cool breeze, a very beautiful Abhishek is going on. But if you go to Barsana, about 10,000 people are squeezed up, 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. It's a very tight situation. So I thought also, quickly we could summarize the Naimitic Lila, Naimitic appearance of Radharani. And that is very interesting, that time to time, not very often, but sometimes in Sankalpas, it's explained in Litamata of how Radharani appears in a slightly different way. So what it explains is, it starts off with King Vindhya. In South India, there's a Vindhya mountain range. And the king of those mountains, he had good pride. So one time he challenged Mount Sumeru. Mount Sumeru is the hugest mountain in the whole universe. So he challenged Mount Sumeru, and he's growing bigger, bigger, bigger. He's getting bigger and bigger. And all the devatas and rishis and munis were worrying, wait a minute, the whole universe, everything is moving around Mount Sumeru. Now this Vindhya mountain, out of his his abhiman, if he grows bigger, it's going to upset everything. All calculations and movements of everything will be disturbed. So then Agastya Muni came there. And when Agastya Muni came to see the King Vindhya, then naturally the king paid his respects. He got down and paid his obeisances to the sage Agastya. And Agastya said, please, I have to step outside for a few moments. Please, you stay bowed down. You stay there bowed down. So Agastya, the Vindhya mountain king, he stayed bowed down, and Agastya Rishi never came back. So now the challenge was defeated. There was no more challenge to Mount Sumeru because Vindhya was bowed down in half and he wasn't growing anymore. So now, about the same time, Himalayan mountains, the king of the Himalayan mountains, he gave birth. His wife gave birth to a daughter. And this was Sati. When Sati gave up her life in the Daksha Yajna, then she came back as a daughter of the Himalayas, the Himalayan king, and her name was Parvati. So he became very famous. King Vindhya became very famous because, first of all, he had the most beautiful daughter that was ever appeared. Parvati was the most beautiful lady in all of creation. And the second reason King Himalaya became famous is because his son-in-law was Lord Shiva. I mean, you can't have a more powerful famous son-in-law than Mahadev. Har Har Mahadev. So he is a son-in-law. So he became very, very proud. So then King Vindhya, as a competing mountain king, he thought, I must get a daughter that's more beautiful than Parvati. And I must get a son-in-law that's more famous than Shiva. Right? So then he did so many austerities. And then what happened is that Yogamaya arranged that there were two girls. Two girls were born in Vrindavan. And they're sisters. They're cousin sisters. But in India they just say sisters. One girl, they weren't born, but one girl was in the womb of Chandrabanu's wife. And the other girl was in Kirtida's wife. In the womb of, his wife. Vrishabhanu's wife.